the 7th of August, 2005. There are so many ways I could start my story, but as per usual, I can't quite find the words. Not only that, but I'm scared of what will happen if I do tell it. Even as I sit here in my hotel room with the curtain shut and the door bolted, I can't help but think they're still watching. But this is a story I need to tell, and not just for me. Tucked away in a cold little spot, there is a town called Duskbowl. And when I first moved there in 2004, it seemed to be a quiet little blink of a town with nothing to offer. In short, just what I was looking for. God, I feel like such an idiot looking back. I didn't, or more accurately, wouldn't see the missing posters blowing through the streets, or the way everyone kept their gazes lowered as they silently went about their day. And of course, the only time I began to notice was after the leases were agreed and contracts were signed. But you know what they say? Hindsight is 20/20. It wasn't long before I found work in the form of Duskbowl FM, the town's only commercial radio station. Ever since I was a little girl, I had dreamed of becoming a radio announcer. But my brother was always the confident one. Instead, I'm one of those quiet, unnoticed people. I'm that person who can only think of the right thing to say in the shower 4 weeks after the conversation was had. So I worked behind the scenes, doing audio production for the station's current host, a guy named Marshall. He was nice enough, but really defensive. He was obsessed with being this source of joy for Duskbowl, but was more of a pariah than a saint. For all his efforts, Duskbowl FM had to follow a town-wide media directive that dictated that all media outlets had to report on the flower board daily. And all that did for Marshall was make him out to be a two-faced jackarse, hated by everyone in town. You see, the flower board was a memorial that stood as one of the oldest of Duskbowl's customs. It was a place where every missing poster, every tear-scrawled note, and every bouquet of grieving flowers was set. So when he went on the air and tried to make people happy, he'd also be reminding them of just how bleak their lives were. At the time, I didn't see how badly it was affecting him. I often wish I had. It was around September when Duskbowl reached its final straw. A group of 5 kids aged between 12 and 16 disappeared into the Neverwood and were never heard from again. Duskbowl Search and Rescue barely searched for them, but could you blame them? This is a town where people had been going missing for as long as anyone could remember. It takes a toll. But those children still had parents. And no matter how hopeless it seems, parents are always the last ones to give up. I know that from experience. So they banded together and rounded up one of the largest search parties in Duskbowl's history. And ignoring the constant warnings from Marshall, their peers, and Duskbowl Sheriff's Department, they braved the Neverwood, determined to find their children. Nothing. The Sheriff's Department was quick to round them up as they staggered, defeated, out of the Neverwood. It wasn't long before the Sheriff's Department had set up barricades to stop anyone from entering the looming woods. But why? Duskbowl was heartbroken. After this, Marshall doubled down on trying to help the town. But the mandatory flower board updates left him even further hated. Let me tell you something. If I had a nickel for every death threat he got in the start of September, I'd be a millionaire. I tried to help him. I did. The longer I worked at Duskbowl FM, the more I saw Marshall as a friend. The first friend I'd had in years. We'd watch movies, play games, and just enjoy each other's company. But that side of him became harder and harder to see. As the days went by, he became more and more short-tempered. He was cracking under pressure, and as if things couldn't get worse, then the messages started. Our broadcast started going weird. Strange messages began to hijack our signal, static, whispers, beeps, you name it. Finally, one day in the middle of a show, a woman rang the station and called Marshall out on air. In a lot of ways, I think it broke him. For some reason, he needed to prove that he could help people like her. I still don't know why. So that week, he took his portable recording equipment and in the dead of night climbed the barricades and marched into the Neverwood. He was determined to find those missing kids, or get the town some level of closure. I never saw him again. In his absence, Duskbowl FM would promote me to host. However, I didn't yet have the right skill set, so my broadcasts weren't the best. Even so, the station offered to keep me on, hell, even train me. But I needed to find my friend. I gathered up what belongings of his I could find and started searching. I had a few good places to start. I found his journal. That was sure to tell me something. And another good place to start was down at Garrett Hall, the town's community center. On more than one occasion, I saw police down there arresting members of this group called the Neverwood Exploration Club. I'll try and find them over the next few days, but for right now, I think there's someone outside my room. I'll record again later.
G'day guys, it's me, Harry, and I just wanted to say thank you for listening to this episode. Duskbowl is, well, it's my passion project, and it just means so much to me that you support it. And if you'd like to support Duskbowl more, feel free to like, subscribe, and support us on Patreon. Anything at all that you could give would mean the absolute world. Your support really does mean everything to me. And I just want to apologise if you can hear trains and cars in the background. I've recently moved, so the whole setup is different. For a lot of you, this is going to be the first time you've actually heard Duskbowl, because obviously you didn't have the biggest following in the start. There are the tapes that if people new coming in want to listen to, feel free. They will give you a lot of context, I feel. I want to thank Romnex so much. I feel like a lot of you will be coming from her channel. Without her, I don't think Duskbowl would be getting the traction that it's getting at the moment. It really does mean a lot that she helped me out, and she is amazing. Please, if you aren't a subscriber of hers, please go to subscribe to her. She's absolutely fantastic. She does amazing horror narrations, and it is a crime she doesn't have a larger following than she does. If you want more Duskbowl, we're going to be uploading fortnightly, and on top of that, on our Instagram page, we actually have like a BARG found footage type story that's going on that you can go and enjoy, which I'm sure you'll get quite a lot out of. So that's on our Instagram page, which will be linked in the description. I'd also like to start having Duskbowl artwork competitions. So if you guys have any fan art that you have of Duskbowl, send it through to the Duskbowl email address, and then the winner of that competition for that week or fortnight will then have their artwork platformed both on our YouTube channel and on our Instagram page. Ash was voiced by the amazing Caroline Fester, and the always absolutely fantastic music that Duskbowl just wouldn't have an identity without is by Samuel Burke, a longtime friend of mine, and please go follow some of his music. I'll be linking some of his bands down in the description. And lastly, if you want to have an Australian accent in any of your projects, I'm a voice actor myself, so if you want to have me on board, feel free to hit me up on my FIVERR, which I'll also be linking in the description.